This is a project from Memorial University's Engineering 9805 Computer Vision. It's a tree-based texture classification based on this here paper, but with some changes. So, several papers build trees for classification. There's sparse texture representations using local affine regions and scalable recognition with a vocabulary tree. And these base techniques are used in many other papers. So this is what they all have in common. A texture is broken down into textons, units of texture, and then sift, surf, orb, or other feature extractors are used to pull interesting points out of each of these textons, and then the relationship between each of these vectors is determined, usually by hierarchical clustering. We used k-means and a 64-dimensional surf vector. So the process of hierarchical k-means starts by finding k clusters. In this case, k is 3, and we can see 3 green dots representing centroids. Each cluster is then reclustered into k child clusters. And this is repeated until the clusters are small, or until cluster members are very similar, i.e. from the same class. And the recursive algorithm builds an HKM tree. The reference paper builds a single tree from many images. The feature vectors are extracted for each texton, and then they're all put together to create a large tree. From the large tree, subtrees are extracted. For each feature in a single image, a 64-dimensional vector is extracted and then compared to the centroids of the root node. The closest centroid's children are then looked at, and then the closest centroid is found from those, and then that repeats until the process reaches a leaf node. Then this search is repeated for all features in the image in order to create a subtree representing that image and the relationships between its nodes. Each image has this process applied to it, and then these trees can be compared using a kernel matching method that results in a kernel matrix, which is then passed to an SVM so that a class boundary can be determined. And then this process is repeated to create several classifications, and then in a one versus many approach, we can determine class membership of new data. We found this process very slow, and on the order of hours for training, and so we're using the tree matching kernel directly to compare trees. It went from not completing overnight to running in minutes, but the accuracy went way down. The results are reasonable given how much faster it runs and our target use. We're looking at anomaly detection in sonograms. So, sonograms, we're looking at side scan sonar in this picture here from a autonomous vehicle, and we're also looking at medical sonograms. So this is an ultrasound of the neck with a linear array probe, and we're looking for anomalies in here so that they can be flagged. Within an image, a bunch of textons are created. So here's a bunch of samples from those previous images, and we're looking for a match of any of them. So a low accuracy can be reasonable when enough samples are taken. Unfortunately, the resolving of particular structures, such as a particular rock within sediment, is difficult, but we can identify between ultrasound and sonar with 100% accuracy, and we can compare the sonographic data with non-sonographic data with around a 75% accuracy. Any questions can be directed to these email addresses, and the code is available here for the time being, but we're moving